Ready, reflect, we are back in session. Parties and counsel are present. Our jurors are not yet present. Counsel indicated you wanted to address something before we brought the jurors in.
Yes, I believe Mr. Molina has marked at least 2 exhibits of photographs that he didn't show me, but I was able to gain a look at. We believe they violate third-party culpability rulings of this court and also lack any type of relevance and foundation. We'd like to deal with it now.
Okay. Do we have those? That's Mike McStay?
Yes.
Okay. So we have 992, 991. 991, what's shown in that?
That's a truck that was owned by Mike McStay in 2010. It's actually my understanding, the exact same model as Mr. Merritt's truck. And we already have testimony that he told Deputy Kingley that he was there, he drove past the house, it was his house on 4th. And that's the truck he owned. It's the same model.
Well, that kind of misstates testimony of Deputy Tingley and his statements, as well as it belies his own phone records that do not put him anywhere near the Fallbrook house on the 4th and does not put him anywhere near the desert on the 6th. Therefore, there would be zero relevance, and it would violate the third-party culpability ruling of the court. Again,
We don't have any cell tower records from Michael McStay.
there you go. There's phone records.
There's phone records. There's phone records, but there's no cell tower
Well,
data.
if you want to lay a foundation that his truck is the same make and model as Mr. Merritt's, and that he was at the Fallbrook residence on the evening of the 4th with that truck, then I would probably let 991 in. 992 doesn't have any relevance.
Well, the court allowed a similar photograph of our client, which was post-dated by several years, the disappearance of the family. We argued that it wasn't relevant to the court, and the argument from the prosecution was that it showed that he was physically able or something of that nature to dig such a hole. And we would ask for the same treatment.
The problem is Mike McStay never denied or never said he had any type of physical element that would prevent him from that. The defendant spent a good majority of his interview with Mr. DeGaulle complaining of his alleged heart condition that would prevent him from having all of these capabilities and issues. Further, I'd like to have an offer of proof as to the exact foundation they intend to lay as to the 4th, considering his phone records put him in Anaheim and Newport Beach during that time.
And also, Your Honor, in terms of the photo of the defendant, it does not predate the offense. It was when he worked for Keen Engineering, which was after the offense was committed.
And was specifically opened that door by defense counsel's questioning several witnesses.
Exhibit 992 has no relevance. Court will sustain the relevancy objection to 992. 991, there's no foundation for that at this time. So the court will sustain objection to 991 based on foundation grounds. If you can lay a foundation that Mike McStay owns the same, in 2010, owned the same make and model truck as Mr. Merritt, and was at the Fallbrook residence on the evening of the 4th, that I would probably allow 991 as a photograph of the truck. We ready to bring our jurors in? Okay. See everybody back. Good to see everyone remembered to come back. Records left, we are back in session on matter People vs. Merritt. Mr. Merritt is present with counsel. District Attorney is present. Defense can call your next witness.
Michael McStay.
Yes, ma'am. Michael Matthew McStay, MCSTAY, first name Michael, MICHAEO, McStay, M, small c, big S, TAY, McStay. Matthew.
Okay, you may proceed.
Thank you. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I just want to cover a couple of points. First, I want to deal with the set of interviews that you did. First, your first interview was on February 15, 2010, correct?
Yeah, on the Monday when Dugal and all them in the car. Yeah, I remember that.
And in fact, you also were interviewed by Deputy Keenley earlier in the day.
When I did the welfare check.
And then, fast forward to 2013, the end of 2013, when the remains were found. You were contacted by San Bernardino County Sheriff's Detectives, correct?
Yes.
And you did a series of interviews at the end of 2013 and into 2014. Would you agree?
Yes. At the end of 13, yeah.
In fact, detectives came out to your home at one point, right?
Yes. That day they, on the 13th, yes, they showed up at my home, but I was working.
And you also did an interview at the Orange County Sheriff's Department,
In Aliso Viejo, that's correct.
and even at the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department.
Where I did the polygraph, yes.
You did a full series of interviews in 2013 and into 2014 with San Bernardino, correct?
Yes.
All those interviews that you did were 4 years after your brother and his family were missing, correct?
Objection, Ms. Space's testimony.
Sustained is freeze.
All the interviews you did at the end of 2013 and into 2014 were at least 3.5 years after
The bodies were found 3 years and 9 months, so it'd be after that.
correct? And those interviews would have been done after that, correct?
Subsequent to that, yes.
And would you agree that during those interviews, and I'm not going to get into line by line, but generally it was difficult for you to remember specific dates? Obviously, it was 3 years, 9 months, correct?
Unless you have like something for me to read from or whatever.
Well, you recall telling Detective Steers that in 2010 you were sharp with your memory because your brother had just gone missing in February. So when you gave those interviews as to your ability to recall and remember, it was much sharper in February of 2010. You recall telling Detective Steers that?
Maybe. Is it in the, you have a report or something? I'm assuming that it would be fresher at the time than now. It's been, what, 9 years?
And you also said that you were really good with your memory back then, and you were good at math as well. Do you remember making that statement?
Possibly.
So, I'm going to kind of, if I'm going to ask you to recall your memory, it's going to be from the original statement you gave in 2010, as I go through some of these questions, okay?
Sure.
All right. So, there was a question about the computer that you took. Do you recall that questioning?
Yes.
Now, you took a computer out of the house, correct?
Yes.
And we're talking about your brother's house in Polk.
Yeah, I'm aware of what you're talking about.
And you took the computer out. Do you recall, and if we're using that February 15, 2010 date of the interview, would it have been before that date or after that date that you took the computer out?
I took the computer out on the 15th. That'd be a Monday. The day of when Dugal was there, because I asked him would I be in trouble for taking anything. I took the SIM card, I took the McStay external hard drive, and I took the E-machine in which I didn't have the power cord, so I couldn't power it up. I think I said this already.
And do you recall, so did you take more than one computer?
An external hard drive, like a disk drive that's you can go USB in. I believe I stated this already.
So did you take a laptop?
An external hard drive is not a laptop.
That's not my question. My question is, did you take a laptop?
I did not.
Okay. But you knew your brother had a laptop, correct?
Yeah, I knew he had one, or some, I don't know how many.
Did you ever see the laptop when you were in the house on the 13th? Because you went in the house on the 13th, correct?
Yeah, it might have been in his office, but yeah, I paid no attention to it.
Okay. And you know that when you were interviewed in 2013 and 2014, the detective shared with you the fact that they couldn't find that laptop, Joseph's laptop.
Objection, as soon as facts not evidence.
Did you have a discussion about a missing laptop with the detectives from San Bernardino?
I don't know.
Did you know whether or not Joseph's laptop was missing?
I have no idea.
Again, objection, as soon as facts not evidence, move to strike.
Overrule, answer remain.
When you took the computer from your brother's house, were you able to use it in any way? I know you said you couldn't boot it up, so am I assuming that you weren't able to even get it on to do anything with it?
Without a power cord, you can't power up a computer, so you can't get into the operating software, sir.
So were you going to, well, you could have bought a power cord, right?
Objection, argumentative.
Sustained.
Did you make an attempt to buy a power cord to boot it up?
I did not. I had other pressing issues.
Well, the purpose of taking the computer was that you were going to get financial data off of it so you could give it to the detectives, correct?
Correct. That was one of my questions to them. What would they first do in an investigation? But I did not have a power cord, and there was other things pressing, so I did not get into the computer at all.
But you would agree that the reason Detective DeGaulle suggested it was okay for you to take the computer was for you to get financial data to give to him.
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
Detective DeGaulle did not have a search warrant at that time, correct?
Objection, relevance, foundation.
Sustained.
Did Detective DeGaulle ask you to go into the computer and get that data for him?
No, he did not.
That was something you suggested.
That is something I asked.
And he said yes, correct?
I asked if I'd get in any trouble, and he said no, so I did what any good brother would do.
Because it was important to get financial data at that early stage, and you were going to do your best to help, correct?
At that point, I thought it was a missing persons case, So I was doing whatever I could for my family.
So that would be a yes then. You're going to do whatever you could, including try to get the financial data off of the
Absolutely.
Okay. So my question going back to why would you then go get a power cord to boot up the computer to do that?
Objection, argumentative.
Overruled, yes, sir.
There were other pressing issues, considering entire family was missing, so I didn't feel it was as urgent as other things, like getting all the pictures extracted, get them on the website that I had made, and generating leads for the detectives. So yeah, I was a little busy and raising a family. This is all in my other testimony.
Gotcha. So, Mr. Imes asked you a series of questions about your involvement with Earth-inspired products after February 2010. Do you recall him asking about that?
Can you be more specific?
Sure. He asked you about what you did, if anything, to keep the business going after your brother disappeared.
Yes, I remember that.
Okay. And he also asked you, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, he asked you what your involvement with EIP was prior to your brother going missing. And you indicated that you had little, if nothing, to do with EIP prior to your brother going missing. Is that accurate?
Correct. It was my brother's business. I have my own business. He has his own business.
Correct. And you indicated that your business started, which your brother helped you with, correct?
Yes.
Was that 2006 or 2005 or?
I think my license got issued right before they got married, because when I was at the wedding, he kept saying C16, which is my license classification.
And was that in 2006?
That was the end of 07, I believe. I got issued November 30th of 2007.
So in 2007, you had your own business anyway. You started your own business anyway. Joseph had his, and even prior to 2007, you didn't have much to do with Earth-inspired products, did you?
My brother literally, for about the last 2 years, was asking me to learn how to weld. He wanted me to learn how to weld, but I didn't have any involvement in his business. But he wanted me to weld to replace Chase.
Have you ever welded before?
I have not. We do in my industry, but you need a C60 license for it, and I just don't have the experience. So I kept telling him I would need time to learn how to do that. And doing it on the weekends and it's not enough time to do when I'm running my business, a family, it's too difficult.
Did you ever make statements or represent to parties that you were the owner of Earth-inspired products?
Objection, vague as to time.
Overruled.
Before or after?
Let's say before 2010.
Before they're missing? What are we talking about here?
Yes, before February 2010.
Before February of 10? No.
You never held out to any party that I'm the owner of Earth-inspired products?
No. Absolutely not. It's not my business.
Did you ever apply for a loan indicating that you were the owner of Earth-inspired products?
I don't believe so.
See if this refreshes your recollection.
Your Honor, there's an objection as a relevance, may we approach?
Sure. right, the last objection is overruled.
Have you take a look at this loan application. All the parts here. The actual application is only 4 pages. You're free to look at all the rest of this stuff, but the first 4 pages.
Yeah, I remember this.
Refresh your memory?
Yeah.
So last weekend, you pulled your stuff out, represent that you the owner of Earth Inspired Products.
That was for a home loan. I remember that.
You get a home loan, $67,500, correct?
I believe it was the second, yes.
Second mortgage.
Yeah.
You told the bank that you were the owner of Earth Inspired Products.
I believe that was with my brother's approval.
And that was in February of 2007.
That was right before we lost the house in, I believe, 2008, when the payment ballooned. I believe it was actually 2 loans, the first and a second.
Go ahead and check out the date of the application.
Let's see.
You have the last, that's on that 4th page.
Yeah, it was 07.
February of 07.
That was, yeah, 07.
So you represented that you were the owner and that you had certain income from as being the owner of Earth Inspired Products.
Correct.
You get that home loan.
Correct.
Now,
I think it was I don't remember, I don't know what it was because I don't understand all the, at the time, because it adjusted, something changed. We got the house in 05 or 4, so.
but, if you had any questions, you could ask your mom, right? She's the real estate business.
Objection argument with it. All of it.
And I may have, I don't really know, but I think Garrett was, I don't remember, I think Garrett was helping me with that one.
And you recall, and now you said that you couldn't make the payments after they ballooned, is that
Yeah, the rate thing adjusted, and the payment like quadrupled.
right? Isn't it true that as soon as you got the loan, you made one payment and then you defaulted on the entire?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
And you said Joseph was aware of this?
I believe so. I wouldn't have signed for something unless I talked to him first. Plus, I think his address was on the paper as well. The Cabrillo address is his address.
You recall when you would have gotten approval to do that?
I would have talked with my brother
Do you remember when you did that?
before I signed that, I would assume.
But you don't have a specific recollection of how they...
I know we talked about it, but I don't recall, honestly.
When you made that statement that you were the owner of Earth Inspired Products, that was not true, was it?
I'm not the owner, no.
I'm sorry.
I was not the owner, no.
And you're aware when you signed that application to the bank that it was under penalty of perjury?
Objection argumentative.
Overruled.
I don't know. Is it? You would know, I wouldn't know.
I'd take a look at it. It'll be where your signature is. You take your knowledge just about your signature.
them, so I don't, it's hard to read.
You knew that you were making misrepresentations to the defendant, correct?
I guess so.
Now, did something happen regarding that loan just prior to February 2010?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
Well, your earlier testimony was that you had driven past your brother's home on February 4th or the 6th of 2010.
Objection, misstates his testimony.
Sustained. You can ask them.
You recall that you told Deputy Tingley that you drove past your brother's home on February 4th or the 6th of 2010. You recall that?
Not sure if it was, I'm not sure if they got that right, if it was I drove past or if we had been talking about MacGyver going down to do the painting on during that week, so I really don't, I'm not sure.
Okay. When you drove past your brother's house, were you going to tell him about what was just about to happen with this loan?
Objection, relevance, lacks foundation, and assumes facts not evidence.
The objection sustained is lacks foundation and relevance.
Did you go down to Fallbrook, your brother's home, in February of 2010, and seek to talk to him about this loan?
Objection, relevance, given the court's previous rulings, lacks foundation and is vague as to its time.
Overruled answer.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. In the beginning of February 2010, when you went to your brother's, when you drove past your brother's home, were you seeking to talk to him about this loan?
Objection, vague as to time and assumes facts not evidence.
Vague is assumed that's not evidence.
Did you go to your brother's home at the beginning of 2010 to talk to your brother about this loan?
This loan wasn't even on the radar. I have no idea why you're even asking this question. I didn't talk to him about this loan or anything for that, or whatever you're implying.
Did something happen regarding this loan at that time in the beginning of 2010?
Objection, relevance, may we approach?
Sure. Counsel approach. The objection is sustained on both relevancy grounds and evidence code 352 and lack of foundation.
In February of 2010, did you own a utility truck?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as 991.
That's John Adams' wrong truck. That's Adams Tapping in Santa Ana.
I understand.
Not my truck.
I understand. Is that a truck that is similar?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
Did you own, let me ask you this, did you own a white utility truck in 2010?
Yes, I owned a white Chevrolet 2007 3500 HD.
That is the same exact model as Chase's truck, right?
Objection,
No, it's not.
assumes- no, we're on. Yeah.
His is a single axle. Mine is a double axle. I had a dually. This is a dually. This is a 450. This is a totally separate company who was doing a tap for me in Santa Ana.
Does your truck look like that?
No, that has a crane and hoist on it. He's got the tapping apparatus.
Gotcha. But your truck was a 3500, correct?
With its 11-foot bed. It was much bigger than Chase's, but not that one's bigger than mine.
White?
All white, yes, sir.
And it had the utility bed on it as well?
That's a harbor bed, yes.
And what year was it?
Mine was a 2000 and bought it right at the start of my company, 07, end of 07.
And you know the model of Chase's truck was a 3500, correct?
I don't know what his was, no. I just remember that it looked like an SBC truck because it appeared to be an old fleet truck from Fleet with the white and gray.
With your tail lights, you see how these tail lights in 911
You mean here?
Yes.
Objection to relevance.
Sustained.
Were your tail lights on your truck lower or higher?
Then
Objection vague as to what?
You
Sustained.
saw the photos of Chase's truck, right?
I'm not an expert, and I don't know every vehicle. I'm just trying to talk about the one that I know, which is mine.
Okay.
So maybe someone else would be more qualified for this.
But you had a 3500, and you knew that Chase's truck was a 3500, right?
I did not. I don't know what his was.
Did you see the video of the neighbor surveillance video? You know, it's called the mission video that we watched in court here.
I did, yes.
Is that your truck?
Is what my truck?
The truck in the video.
No. That's the 4th.
Before the day that you told Deputy Tingley you could go past the house.
That's not my vehicle on the 4th. I was never there on the 4th. And you could probably check my cell phone records and pings if you wanted to see where I actually was at. Because I wasn't there.
Did you ever, do you know if the detectives ever even got your cell phone records?
You'd have to ask them. I'm not sure, sir.
Did you give them your cell phone records?
I'm pretty sure they could get them if they wanted them.
In the beginning of 2010, would you agree with me if I told you there was a lot of press coverage of your brother's disappearance?
Oh, yeah.
Tons, right?
My phone would be fully charged at 7 a.m. in the morning, and by 10 o'clock from all the phone calls, it would be dead, and I'd have to recharge it and try to get through the day. There's a lot going on. Local and national. I was on Nancy Grace 3 times, Judge Janine Pirro. I've been on 2 TV shows. I did whatever I could to keep it relevant in the media so that we could try to find my family. So I did whatever I could.
And you made several statements to the press and to those media outlets, correct?
Pretty sure I did, yes.
Before I just blurt this out, I'm going to show counsel a statement that I'm going to ask you about that would have been made in March of 2010 to Orange County Register.
Let's see, register. Was her name Brittany at the time, I think?
Sorry?
Was the lady's name Brittany, I believe, at the time?
You mean
The reporter that I talked to?
I believe so.
I think I remember.
We have objection as to relevance.
Council approach. The objection's overruled.
You're correct, it was Brittany Levine. You
Okay.
recall telling her on March 26th,
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
you recall telling her that on March 26, 2010, that my fear is that I'm looking for 2 adult shallow graves and my 2 nephews' crosses.
I remember saying that, yes.
Now that was, as you correctly pointed out, 3 years and 9 months prior to your brother's family being found in the death, correct?
Can you restate that? I'm getting confused.
When you
So,
made that statement to Brittany Levine in March of 2010, that was 3 years, 8 months.
before they were found, right?
Is that correct?
So was that is your question if that was my fear? Or did I make this, which is the question?
My question is...
Because that was my fear. That I wasn't looking for a missing persons case, but rather possible homicide.
So you were very specific. 2 adult shallow graves and my 2 nephews' crosses.
Mind if I read it? So that would have been my fear, and I made that statement.
In February of 2010, there was a lot of talk about who contacted who first. I'm not even going to get into that. I just want to know, at some point in February of 2010, you had contact with your father
Yes. Yes.
sometime, let's say...
Sometime the week of the 9th.
Okay, fair enough.
And I guess I also had contact with MacGyver, and I forgot all about that, but because he had been going, he was supposed to paint.
Okay. Now, regarding your father, after you had contact with him, did you maintain contact with your father for the next, I would say, month regarding Joseph's disappearance?
Objection, relevance.
Overruled.
I'm pretty sure I did. Yeah.
And your father was in Texas at the time, is that correct?
My dad lives in Spring, yes.
Do you know whether or not your father, Patrick, ever came to help you guys? Did you ever pass out flyers and that kind of stuff, right?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
Did your father,
Neither did Chase.
I'm not asking about you.
Oh, sorry.
Let's just stick with Patrick right now. I'll ask you about Chase.
Okay.
Did Patrick, your father, let me ask you this, did you ask your father to come?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
And regarding Chase, regarding the flyers, you didn't pass out flyers, the family did, correct?
At San Isidro, where the vehicle was found.
And in other places as well? What about Fallbrook?
I believe, yeah, I think we did Fallbrook and San Isidro. I don't know if it was the same day or oh, that's where I met Kathy. I believe we did. Yeah, we canvassed Fallbrook. We split up and went to different places, and we did San Isidro. Yes, I just don't remember if it was the same day or whatever.
You recall at that time that Chase was given about 2,000 flyers to pass out.
Do I recall that? I don't.
Do you know who was in charge of giving the flyers to people to pass out?
I did, because I had them donated from my printing my printing company donated all of the flyers all of the time, and I had boxes of them, and then we doled them out, and people.
And if somebody wanted to get flyers, would they come pick them up, or you would actually have to give them to them?
I think both. I believe at different times. Chase might have been given some. I really I don't recall.
Okay. Now, in February, we're going to go back to that February 15th interview, that first day that you reported your brother missing on February 15th. And you remember that interview. You indicated you remember the interview in the detective's vehicle, correct? That was Detective Dugal.
Yeah, and the lady detective Fisk. Yeah.
Now, at the time of that interview, would it be fair to say that your knowledge of Chase, because you had never met him before that, right?
I'm told I met him at my brother's wedding. I don't remember that back in '07. And the first time I met him, that I actually recall in person, is on that Saturday when I went down there, the 13th, I believe it was.
But prior to that, at least for our purposes and your memory, you don't remember actually meeting him, correct?
Yes. So when he refers to me as Mikey, it's because he's talking with my brother, but he should really refer to me as Michael because he doesn't know me.
So, since he didn't know you, would it be fair to say that when you're talking about Chase and you're describing Chase to the detective, that knowledge you had of Chase would have come from your brother, or at least mainly from your brother?
Yeah, probably from our conversations, my brother and I's conversations.
And you recall telling Detective Gall that from what I hear with Chase, because Chase seems like a very sweet individual, I trust that they've gotten really close.
Objection, leading assumes facts, not evidence. This is a cross-examination.
Sustained.
Move to strike counsel's comment.
They're not evidence.
Do you agree that the way you described Chase to the detective, I should say first, the way you described Chase's relationship with your brother was that it was a good relationship and that they were best friends?
Objection sustained as lack of foundation and hearsay.
Can you be heard on that?
You aren't going to be heard on that?
No.
You tell the detective that Chase is the one that helped build the shed that was in the backyard.
Objection, lacks foundation.
Sustained.
Do you know how you describe Chase to the detectives?
Objection, relevance, lacks foundation.
Sustained as lack of foundation calls for hearsay.
Were you here for the opening statements? Did you watch the opening statements?
Yes, sir.
So there was a part of the opening statements where Mr. Doherty played a clip of Chase talking about Summer. And we eventually heard the whole interview, but do you recall listening to that in the opening statement?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
Do you recall that in that you recall the prosecution playing a tape where Chase described Summer as a pain in the butt? Do you recall that? And the prosecutor's highlighting that?
Objection, it's argumentative, it's not relevant from this witness.
Sustained on relevance of grounds.
We touched on your relationship with Summer. I wanted to ask you a little bit more about that. You said that there was a disagreement on July 4th, correct?
Yeah, I believe so. It was July 4th. That's why there was friction at Johnny's birthday on July 9th.
Oh, what year?
That would be '09, sir. 2009.
Oh. I'm going to show you the transcript of that interview, and you said July 4th, but let's see if you can maybe as a refresh your recollection as to how many years prior July 4th it would be.
I think you're missing the context. So there was, well, like I think I testified, every family has squabbles. And certainly you guys have, I mean, the Aranda family has been dragged through the mud. So I'm going to go ahead and answer this the best I can. And in context, hopefully, if you're really looking.
Do you remember what the question is?
Summer had yeah, I do. So there was a strain, like any friction on a family, between Summer and myself. Because of
non-responsive to task and answer.
yeah.
Overruled, that's fine.
She made a comment to my wife at the time about my children. I let it go. And then finally on July 4th, when we were running late to go to the party, I confronted her on it. But Summer is the mother of my murdered nephews. And I would have done anything for her, no matter what.
My question is, what July 4th are you talking about?
That would have been July 9th, July 4th of 09.
Okay, but you recall telling Detective Dugal that it was a couple of years ago. You were talking to him in February of 2010.
The couple of years ago was the when she made comments about my children at breakfast, which was not on July 4th, it was a couple of years before.
So, I mean, it is what it is, but you're saying you remember it being 2009.
July 4th, we were going to all get together as a family, and it didn't happen because I confronted Summer over the phone, driving on the 73 south. I remember the phone call.
And would you agree that you did other things that created friction between you and Summer?
Objection, relevance.
Overruled, that's fine.
I did?
Yes.
Did I do it? Maybe.
You called her Heather, for example. You did that
I did do that. Heather, Summer, yeah, Freudian slip. His first wife was Heather, her name is Summer. Oops.
When you did that, though, you did it intentionally, right? That's
No.
why Summer got mad.
That was not intentional.
And because of that, you said that Summer wrote you off. You recall telling the detective.
Possibly.
You described Summer as somebody who drove a wedge between Joseph and his son Jonah. You recall telling the
Objection,
detective that.
relevance.
Sustained.
You recall telling the detective Smith and Dugal in February 2010 that Summer divided your whole family.
Objection, relevance, argumentative.
Overruled, that's fine.
I believe so.
Because that's the way you felt in February 2010, right? You were told them the truth. Detective Fisk and Dugal, correct?
Objection, compound.
Overruled.
I believe so, yes, sir. We weren't obviously getting together as a family. That's why I wasn't there for Christmas or Thanksgiving.
After February 9th, when you were first alerted to your brother's disappearance,
Right, okay.
that was the day you were first alerted?
I think it was we talked about the dates. I don't remember 9th or 10th at this point.
Whatever the date was, 9th or 10th. Do you recall calling your brother?
I called and left messages on my brother's phone until it stopped until it was, for long after that.
So you left voicemails that were on your brother's phone, correct? Until you couldn't anymore.
Correct. Long after they had disappeared, yeah.
You and I gotta set something up. Is it okay if we take our morning break now? It's about
Sure. Go ahead and take our morning recess, 15 minutes. Keep in mind the admonitions previously given to you, not to form or express any opinions about the case, not to discuss this before we come back and run.